As the festive season approaches and we are preparing to exchange gifts, are you wondering how you will fund your next big investment even after splurging over the holidays? Well, fear not, because in the spirit of giving, I am here to unwrap the secrets of finding funding for your next venture in a way that won't leave your wallet feeling like the ghost of Christmas past. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Nicole Nedler. I am a licensed financial advisor. I am a money coach for business women, and I help my clients to find funding, invest, build passive income, and get that thing cash flowing for them. So if you're interested in learning more about how to find the funding, even at this time of year, despite all of the money you probably have blown on holiday gifts for other people, this month alone, you are in the right place. So without further ado, let's get into today's training. To help me, if you are watching the replay, please comment replay below and let me know so I can see that you watched the training. If you're live, then comment again live below and let me know so I can tailor my training to who is in the room. Now, before we really get into how to find funding, I want to make sure, first of all, we define our terms. One of my favorite quotes from Voltaire, he says, if you're going to debate anything with me, first define your terms. So often when I talk about this type of funding, people go, no, debt, right? So before I even get into what I'm going to talk about today, I want to teach you a term that may be new to you. If it's not new to you, then we're just going to do a little quick recap, and that is the term leverage. When we're talking about finding funding to fuel our fortune, we want to be willing to use leverage in the same way that all of our math teachers in third grade taught us, right? Like if you try to lift something on your own, you're not going to be able to lift it as high as if you put a lever there and push down. All of a sudden you can lift things that you never could have lifted before, right? Same thing happens when we use leverage in order to do investing, to help us fuel our fortune, all right? So leverage refers to the use of debt or any kind of borrowed funds to amplify our returns from an investment or project. So just to give you an example, right? How long do you think it would have taken me to save $450,000 so I could buy this farm in cash? Put an estimate down below. I'm curious to hear what you think. You think it would have taken me 1 year, 20 years, 50 years? Do you think I ever would have been able to buy this farm cash before I turned 65, right? How much do you think how long do you think it would have taken me? Whereas if by borrowing the money using a mortgage, right, at very low interest rates, I actually was able to buy this farm with just $20,000 down. $20,000 is a lot easier to save than $450,000, right? So that's one example of using leverage. I leveraged the sale of my earlier wedding business, the sale of my home in Portland to purchase this property, not by buying it in cash, but by using debt to fuel my fortune, okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is one of the ways that you can find funding. It doesn't necessarily mean find cash. It sometimes can mean using leverage. All right. So let's get into today's training. Let's say, I forgot. Okay. Before we go any further, go to sarahnicolenedler.com/OPM. OPM stands for Other People's Money. Go to sarahnicolenedler.com/OPM and download the workbook that goes with today's training. This workbook is so powerful. It's going to show you how, step by step, how to actually apply the strategy I'm teaching you today so you can get hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding in just the next 90 days. Okay, so if you feel like that's something you'd like to be able to do by the end of first quarter 2024, you could be making significant progress in the direction of financial freedom by buying assets using other people's money. You definitely want to go download this workbook right now. Okay, all right, I created that for you guys. I hope that helps. All right, so we're going to take a little example here so you guys can really see the power of what I'm going to teach you today. And this is how we utilize leverage to invest. All right. So this is Jane. Jane has an idea for a new asset that she could buy that would pay her passive income every single month. All right. Think boring business, real estate investment. Maybe she's going to partner with someone on creating an online course that they're going to sell for her, right? Like all the different strategies that we talk about inside the passive income pathway, all the different strategies I talk about inside the 3-day invest her challenge that I did last month. What month is it? All of those strategies involve an initial investment of capital into an asset that could pay us passively. So today we're talking about the step beforehand, which is where do we find the funding? So here's Jane. She's got this great idea of an asset she thinks she could buy. She knows if she just had the money to buy that asset, it would cash flow for her every single month. She'd have passive income for life. But she isn't sure how she's going to fund those startup costs. It's the holiday season. She's spent thousands of dollars on her kids. Maybe she spent thousands of dollars traveling to go see family. She doesn't have the funding right now. So what is she going to do? Comment me if this sounds like you right now. You've already got some ideas of things you could invest in, but you don't know where the funding is going to come from. Comment me for me in the chat. All right. So Jane's got a few options, right? One option is she could crunch the numbers, look at her budget, pull back on her expenses, and start saving money every single month toward her new idea, right? She's like, hey, I want to buy that Airbnb property. It's going to cost me, $10,000 down. All right, cool. If I just put aside $500 a month, I could have that in a couple of years, right? That's one option that Jane has. However, doing it that way takes time. And every moment we're not buying that property today, every moment we're saving towards the down payment is a moment that we have stalled the growth of our fortune, right? Because sure, maybe it's going to cost us $10,000 to buy the property, but once we buy it, it's probably going to cash flow us more than the $500 we're trying to put towards it every month right now, right? So if it takes her longer than 1 year, it can also have negative tax consequences because remember, Jane is a business owner. This money that she's saving towards this investment is not after tax money, right? This is not a 9-to-5er. She is a businesswoman. She is an entrepreneur, which means that every moment that she is saving money towards an investment, if she doesn't spend that money by December 31st, it's going to be taxable income because she did not spend it on a deductible business expense, right? So again, these are two downsides to saving towards your investments, all right? Now, you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy right now, going, all right, Sarah, I get it, but what else could I do? Well, look, before I get into that, hold on, we have a few more cons we have to talk about here. Jane also might be tempted, right? If she's looking at this whole thing, she's like, I don't want to save money towards the down payment. I don't want to, have a bunch of taxable income this year. She might be tempted to risk her family's financial assets to buy this investment property. Like she might be tempted to put the money on a credit card. She might be tempted to take a personal loan, which is going to go against her personal credit. She might be tempted to use her personal savings. Maybe she's already got an emergency fund and she's thinking about stealing from her own emergency fund to fuel her fortune, right? All of those things are putting her family at financial risk. Okay, that's not what we're talking about today. All right, that's not what we want to do. So, what is our other option? What if Jane uses outside funding to invest in her idea or this new asset she's trying to purchase instead? What do I mean by that? I mean using her business's credit to fuel her fortune, using leverage. We're going to leverage business loans, which are not tied to our personal credit score, which are not tied to how much income we personally produced, right? It's tied to our business's ability to pay its bills. If we use outside funding, meaning a bank, an investor, et cetera, right? We'll get into how in a minute. If we did that instead, yes, we are going into debt. And I know a lot of people think debt is a 4-letter word, but that's what today's training is about. All right. If we go into debt, but it's our business going into debt, not us, we lower the risk to our family, because if our business folds, well, fine, the business lost that money. Your family didn't, right? They're not going to come after you if you've structured it correctly. Talk to Destiny Bounds about that part, right? But here's some really powerful things that are going to happen if we use this strategy. If we use outside funding to buy the asset, all right? Now she's able to rapidly scale with her new idea. And because she bought the asset today and got it cash flowing immediately, that asset is going to pay the loan back for her. Okay. She has plenty of cash to spend on marketing to make more money in her business, which is a tax deductible expense. So she doesn't have to actually pay taxes on that money that she would have been saving towards this down payment, right? She shows less profit for the year because she just purchased an enormous asset, right? Which reduces her tax liability. And if she uses her business credit, like I said, she's not putting her family at as much risk. Now, of course, there's always risk in investing. I can't say that this will be completely risk-free, but we're putting that corporate veil between our personal assets and the things our family owns, like our family house, our family car, our family savings, our family retirement plans, right? We're putting that layer of protection between our assets and what the business owns, which is this new asset that you just purchased. This new investment property is owned by your corporation or your LLC. Again, talk to a lawyer about that part. And that layer of protection includes protecting her personal credit. So even if she's maxed out her credit cards to buy Christmas presents, which I don't recommend, but maybe she did, it doesn't matter because her business has its own credit score. It's just most women I talk to don't know that, don't know what it is, don't know how to build it, don't know how to create business credit, and don't know how to leverage it to actually earn wealth. Okay. So Jane has 3 options for finding this kind of outside funding that I'm talking about, okay? 1, she could get a business loan or business credit card once she's built up her business credit. 2, she could crowdfund, right? And 3, she could get a loan from investors, which usually means she's either sharing equity with those investors or she's sharing future interest with them. So we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? Either way, no matter which of these 3 strategies you're going to use, the best thing you can do right now over the holiday season is start building your business credit, because this is not tied to your personal credit. It's not tied to your personal funds. And therefore, it doesn't matter how much you're spending right now on Christmas presents. You can still be building your business credit over the holidays. Okay. So again, if you want the little guide that goes with this training, you'll see down below, it says sarahnicolenadler.com/OPM. That's where you go to find this guide. But let's talk a little bit about what business credit is. Your business credit, right? It has its own credit score, just like you have a credit score. It's a measurement of the potential of your business to settle its own loans and its own outstanding debts. That means that it's literally, in the eyes of credit companies, in the eyes of the law, your business is its own separate entity. It's like another person. So just like me spending money doesn't affect your credit, same thing with your business. Your business spending money, or you personally spending money, doesn't affect your business's credit. It's the business's ability to pay its own loans and debts. All right. This is a major indicator of how healthy and reliable your business is financially. So without business credit, your company is going to struggle to find loans, apply for credit cards, establish relationships with vendors, and succeed as a small business. You're going to be crippling yourself if you don't build your business credit, because you'll constantly have poor terms, high interest, things like that, because you don't know how to take care of your business credit. Again, comment below if you know what your business credit score is. I'm curious. You don't have to tell us what it is if you don't want to, but give me a yes in the comments if you already know what your business credit score is. Give me a no if you don't. All right. Most importantly, building your business credit allows you to borrow other people's money. That's where OPM comes from. Other people's money, right? Allows you to borrow other people's money, such as a bank or an investor, and your business owes that money, not you, which means it's not tied to your personal credit. In some cases, when we do this right, when we build it up over the 90 days, just like I teach inside that workbook, it's not going to affect your personal credit score. That means that any financial mistakes that you make in your business are also not going to affect your personal credit score or your home or your spouse or your kids, right? That's why this is so important. Also, having good business credit gives you a lot of perks. You get better interest rates on loans. Vendors may not require prepayment, so you can get what's called a net 30 account with them, right? That means that you buy something today and you have 30 days to pay for it, which is fantastic, right? You get better cash flow in your business. So, do you guys feel like you're ready to start actually tackling your business credit and figuring out how to do all this? All right. Well, the moment you start earning money passively, the IRS already considers you a business, right? We talk about this inside the passive income pathway. I talked about this in my 3-day Invest Her challenge last month. By establishing a legal entity like your LLC, your corporation, etc., you already started the process of creating business credit. All right. But there are a few steps that I want you to take right now that can start building your business credit very quickly. You guys ready to hear these? I don't have any comments in the chat. We have lots of people online. So you know what? I'm not going to share it yet. I'm not going to share the next slide until someone gives me a 1 in the chat. Just any comment, any comment. I don't even care what it is. Yes, I'm getting this, Sarah. Yeah, it's awesome. Wow, thank you so much. Like anything. Just acknowledge me. Give me anything at all. I'm going to sit here, literally sit here until I see a comment. I know you guys are on live. I know hopefully you're enjoying this. If you're not enjoying it, just close it. Close it. Get rid of me. Kick me off of your profile. Okay. But I want to make sure this is actually useful to you guys. So give me some comments below. Let me know. Yes, Sarah, I want to know. How do I build my credit score? Please share that next slide. Oh, Julia just saved the day. Okay, Julia. Thank you so much. Let's go on to the next slide. All right. You have a credit score. If you already have a separate business entity like an LLC or a corporation, you have a business credit score. How do we actually build it? Okay. The first thing you can do that will start to build that business credit is you can register your business with your Secretary of State. All right. Make it legal. Make it a real legitimate business. Start filing your taxes. Start in reporting every year, your annual report, right? The next thing you can do is apply for an EIN at irs.gov. An EIN is simply, it's like a social security number, but for businesses, okay? It's gonna say, hey, I'm a real entity and I need a real tax ID number. That's what your EIN is. And it's absolutely free to get one. So this is gonna cost you nothing, okay? The next thing you can do that will help to build your business credit is you should open a business banking account. Again, I'm talking about baby steps here, guys. If you're like a 7 or 8-figure business owner and you don't know what your credit score is, just look it up at dnb.com, okay? I'm sure you already have one. But if you're a brand new business, or like Julia said, right? Like she's been bootstrapping her business forever. You are not an idiot. You were let down. You were failed by your educational system. We American women have been utterly failed by our education system. You weren't taught any of this in school. You were taught like how to use a triangle to figure out how tall a fucking tree is. Like bullshit. That is so effing useless to a businesswoman. But nobody taught us how to build our business credit. Am I right? So don't feel like you failed. Don't feel like you're dumb if you don't know this. Nobody's teaching it, okay? So these are the baby basic steps to have a business credit score at all right? Just apply for an EIN, have your entity set up, apply for EIN, register your business with the Secretary of State for your state, right? Open a separate bank account that you run money through for your business, right? Don't have that money, even if it's a side hustle, guys. Even a side hustler can do this. If you have a little baby, tiny little side hustle that makes you like 20 bucks a month, you can still start building your business credit, okay? But have a separate bank account for your business and apply for a DUNS number at dnb.com. Everything I just mentioned is 100% free, except maybe the business checking account. If you're going to bank it somewhere like Wells Fargo or one of the like big banks, they're going to charge you. But if you go to Novo, all right, if you got a little phone, you download the app called Novo, you can get a free business bank account. That's Novo, Novo. Let me know if you need me to drop a link to Novo and I will send it to you. But every single one of these steps is absolutely free or possible to keep it free if you do Novo. And these will give you the beginnings of a business credit score. Now, let's say you're already at that. You're already at square zero, okay? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to start applying for what we call net 30 accounts. Whoop, we're going to back up for a second. Net 30 accounts. These are accounts with companies like Amazon Pro, Enterprise Rental Car has a professional net 30 account. Uline is one of my favorite because like raise your hand if you don't buy like printer paper and ink and pens and gloves when you clean your house, right? Like Uline sells so many things that we as businesswomen can use just in our own home office, or if you have an actual physical office, you probably are purchasing things all the time that if you use the Uline catalog to purchase them instead and signed up for their net 30 account, you could be building your business credit. Because all of the companies I just mentioned, if you open a net 30 account with them, which simply means you open a professional account, right? Don't go to rent a car, don't go to like Enterprise Rent a Car and then like just rent a car. No, you have to open a pro account at Enterprise Rent a Car and use your business money to rent a car for business purposes, right? But if you do that, if you go to Uline and you buy printer paper, you buy pens or whatever the heck you buy already for your business, and you use their net 30 account, meaning you sign up for a pro account and you buy the thing and they send you an invoice later and you have 30 days to pay it. If you use that strategy, you're already building your business credit, because all of those companies I just mentioned, they report when you open a net 30 account and you start using it, they report your good spending habits to those credit companies. All right. This is how you build up that credit score. And if you just do that for 90 days, boom, you've now got pretty decent credit, and you go and you apply for your very first business credit card and you use it wisely, right? You do the same thing you would do with your own credit card. You don't like max it out or do anything dumb like that. You don't make late payments. You just follow common sinking credit card sense. And again, over time, you'll start to build that business credit. And next thing you know, you're getting offers. Guys, I get offers on like a daily basis for like hundreds of thousands of dollars in business loans because I have good business credit. Okay. Doesn't mean I want all of that because it is debt. I would have to pay it back. Right. But if I see an opportunity to invest in something that's going to bring me 10 or 20% returns, and someone wants to loan me $100,000 at like 5 or 6%, it's a no-brainer, right? This is how we actually build wealth quickly, because we're not trying to save our way to wealth. We're not going to save our way to wealth unless you're making like 9 figures a year at like a 80%, profit rate margin. You're just not going to save money fast enough to go financially free. Instead, we need to use leverage. So I know I'm kind of getting on a whole soapbox about this today, but I'm just sick and tired of hearing women, especially business women, tell me I can't invest right now because I'm buying holiday presents. Like, it's so irrelevant. The fact that you're spending money on holiday presents has nothing to do with your business's buying power. Unless you're buying Christmas presents with your business credit card, in which case, like, you need to talk to someone seriously, because you're going to get in a lot of stinking trouble doing that kind of shit. So as long as you're not like doing anything illegal or dumb with your business expenses, your business could be buying assets that will make you financially free much, much, much faster. And it's totally irrelevant how much money you spent this month on holiday gifts. So I'm going to take a deep breath because I'm so passionate about this subject and so sick and tired of finding out that business women aren't being taught these things. We are not taught how to build wealth. We are shoved in a corner and patted on the head and told to be a good little girl and go shopping. And it's such bullshit. It really is. And Hallmark and whoever else has popularized this idea that you have to keep up with the Joneses during the holiday season and stop investing. It's just total BS. So there you go. I'm going to pause here and read the comments. Julie, I love you. She's like, preach. But seriously, like we could be so much further ahead if someone had just taught us this in our 20s, right? I didn't learn any of this until I was 30 years old. I was 30 years old. I had never invested a dime, not a single dime. I didn't own one red penny of any investment anywhere. I just had my bootstrapped business, and every dollar I made went back in the business or I blew it on books and travel and shoes until I started to learn this stuff. And I'm really lucky that someone cared enough to tell me these things. And now it is 100% my passion and my mission to make sure you guys know how to do this. So that is how we build business credit. I promised you 3 strategies. So this is just one of them. If you're still feeling in your feels about going into debt and you're like, I just don't think I'm ready for that yet, Sarah, that's okay. I'm going to give you 2 other ways you could find funding for your investments this year during the holiday season, even if you're spending money on Christmas presents. All right. So Jane, back to our story with Jane, right? Jane has this cool idea of an investment she could buy, but she doesn't have the money in her savings account. And she's smart enough to know that she shouldn't spend her personal savings anyway, right? So option number 2, Jane could crowdfund this. Now, it depends. I'm going to put a caveat here. Not everything is easy to crowdfund for. Like if you're just buying, I don't know, like if you're just purchasing a property and you're going to Airbnb it and nobody in the whole world is going to benefit from this but you, it's like you're doing this purely for financial reasons and there's no other mission behind what you're doing, it's going to be really hard to crowdfund that. I'm not going to say you couldn't, but it will be very tough if there's no mission behind it. But I personally like to put my money where my heart is. And so almost all of my investments have had some big mission behind them. Like the farm I live on, yes, I wanted a wedding venue and I've talked about how I made 10K in passive income this year. This is our first year in this investment. I've already made 10K. I'm really excited about that. And I talk a lot about the financial end of it. What I haven't talked about is the fact that this farm also came from a place of recognizing where our country is going right now and the fact that it's a little bit scary out there and wanting to make sure that I had a property that was completely off grid, did not rely on the government, did not rely on any utility companies or anybody else, a farm that could be completely self-sustaining, not for me. Okay, my family actually already owns a property like that. And so I don't need it for me. I wanted to do it for the community. I wanted to come here to Kansas and build a property that if everything goes to shit, could actually feed the surrounding community because I'm a big, passionate believer in human rights. And one of the first human rights you will learn if you study the 30 basic human rights as covered in the United Nations document on the subject, is that we all have the right to food and shelter. And how can we guarantee food and shelter for everyone if we aren't producing enough food, right? If all farms are purely for-profit entities, it's difficult to solve poverty in the United States. And so people like us, people who have extra cash and are interested in building passive income, but also want to have some kind of mission or purpose behind what we're doing, like we're building this community garden, right? Where anybody can come and just grow their own food here. That kind of mission-driven type of investing is very easy to crowdfund for. Okay. It's very easy because you're pushing a mission. And in fact, look, Mohammed, I'm so glad you're on today. Mohammed is one of my nonprofit leaders in Africa, in his own country, Liberia, in Africa. He runs our human rights activities for that entire country. I'm so glad you made it on today, Mohammed, right? But that's what I'm talking about is like if you have a big mission behind what you're doing, if you're building a business that's supposed to change lives, if you have a coaching business and you want to create an investment, which is an online course that you're going to get other people to sell for you, right? Like that type of invest her method that I teach inside my invest her masterclass. Or if you, let's say you are an artist, but you want to create art that has a human rights message behind it, or a women's rights, or an anti-racism message behind it, or anything like that, and you're trying to find funding for this activity you're going to do, look at crowdfunding, because people get behind those types of missions if you can tell a good brand story. I have an entire workshop where I teach how to find funding for mission-driven nonprofits and NGOs and things like that. I have an actual Facebook group that's dedicated to that topic. So comment below. Let's use the word crowdfund. Comment crowdfund below if you want more information about how to do that. But that is another option for not trying to fuel it out of your own personal savings, but instead using crowdfunding if there's some kind of mission or purpose that helps other people behind the type of investing you do. My friend Jerry Fetta also does this. He invests in homes that are just rental properties. That's really all it is. But he does it in a way that he only rents these homes to people who can't actually qualify for a home, right? They couldn't qualify for a home. Maybe they have a bankruptcy on their account. They couldn't even qualify for an apartment because of their credit or whatever. And he rents his houses. He has multiple of these, right? He has multiple doors. He rents them to people who specifically cannot qualify for other types of housing. And it's a rent to buy scenario. So he gets his 10 or 15% every year out of that investment, but it's also a passion-driven investment that has a mission behind it. And that's very, very easy to crowdfund for. So I see you, Julia. I see you, Kara. I'll make sure you get the info on crowdfunding. All right. The last strategy that Jane could use, she's got this cool idea for an investment, but she doesn't have the cash for it right now. And she wants to be able to still spend money for her kids on the holidays, right? Her last option for this is to find an investor who has the money to partner with. Okay. So typically, if we're going to go after this direction, we're looking for private investors, might even be someone you know, could even be a family member, or could be a total stinking stranger. The way you find these people, if they're a total stinking stranger, is you attend networking events. It's the best way to meet investors. Okay. So just look it up online, go to meetup.com, go to Google, go to Facebook, find places where people are getting together and ask, like, hey, where do you know some networking events in my city? All right. It's one of the best ways to find investors and people to partner with on your investments. And when you do find people like that, okay, the next thing you need to do is you need to pitch them your idea and find a win-win paradigm where they are going to get something out of it and you're going to get something out of it. Typically, what you're offering them is either equity in the investment itself or future interest. So let's talk about the first one. Equity means, hey, I've got this great idea for a 16-acre farm I want to buy in Leavenworth, Kansas. It's going to be an Airbnb. It's going to be a wellness retreat. It's going to be a wedding venue. It's going to be a community garden. I estimate it'll make me about 6 figures a year once we got it up and going. The time level to get it there is about 3 years. Would you be interested in investing? And depending on how much you put in, I'll give you a percentage of the profits, right? That's equity. So they're going to own a percentage of the property just as much as I own it. So I'm putting in the initial 450,000 that I borrowed, right? Let's say they're putting in another 500,000 for renovations or whatever. Well, great. We just put in about the same amount. So I'm probably going to do a 50-50 split with them. Okay. So that's equity. The other option is future interest, where they basically just become private lender. All right, so you're going to go, hey, I have this great idea, blah, 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 pitch, 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 right? Here's what's in it for me. Here's what's in it for you. I'm going to give you at the 3-year mark, I think we're going to be able to cash flow this thing. By the 5-year mark, I will return your investment of $500,000 to you with an additional 10% interest. So now they're in it for the long haul. They know that they're going to give me $500,000 today, and in 5 years, they're going to get that $500,000 back plus another $50,000 for the use of their money, right? So you can do equity or you can do future interest. It doesn't matter. Some investors are going to be like, no way to one, but then be fine with the other. So you can try both, right? But that is the skill of negotiation. And we talk about it inside the passive income pathway, how to do this kind of negotiation. You also get coaching with me on how to actually have those conversations. We can role play it. I can give you ideas. Even if you fail close somebody, I can teach you how to go back in with another pitch and see if you can't get them back on board. But that type of skill is what it really takes to do this particular type of investing. When you're finding loans from other investors, you really have to nail the ability to negotiate well. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Again, if you want to download the workbook that goes with this training that will help you learn how to build your business credit and find funding in the next 90 days, then go head to sarahnicolenadler.com/OPM. Otherwise, thank you so much, you guys, for coming on today. I really appreciate you being here live. If you're watching the replay, again, let me know what you got out of this. I always love to hear your success stories and your aha moments. So comment below anything you feel you learned from today, and I will see you next week.